Heyo, and welcome back to Mega Man Dr. Wily's Revenge. Now we're taking on the bad guy himself, and let's see how well Wily's Revenge comes off this time. Like, whether we'll be able to beat Mega Man once for all, or whether it's just going to be a repeat of the first two games. And the fact that I have completed this playthrough, and this is for the finale, should tell you how it turns out. But yeah, these Wily stages, they're got some strong points, they got some weak points. I like the way that they're mostly original. Like, there are some little callbacks to sections from the other games, but for the most part these aren't just adaptations of the established Wily levels. They're new levels, they have some new features, they have like new level layouts, and I quite like them on the whole. There are some sections that are a little bit bullshit, which we will see soon enough. But yeah, I think given like the first part was mainly just me sort of rambling about my own thoughts, I have a little bit of information that I've retrieved here from a little thing called research, which I should do more often when I do playthroughs, but quite often I try to wing it. In terms of the critical reception this game got, it seemed to go kind of both ways. Like, there are some people who took it as like a more limited version of Mega Man. This section's bullshit, by the way, because there's no way you could have seen them spikes coming. But like, there were some people who found it a bit too compressed for the Game Boy. Like, people who found it quite difficult, and like, I can see where they're coming from. But there's also one comment in particular from the Entertainment Weekly. I'm not too familiar with that publication, but I found this listed, and it's from a reporter called Bob Strauss, and it says, "What makes this game especially attractive to adults is that you can begin your quest on any one of 4 stages, thus avoiding that linear start again from scratch quality that only 12-year-olds find hypnotic." That's what he said word to word, and granted, this logic could apply to any Mega Man game, pretty much. But I also find that odd, because it's still very repetitive if you're trying to learn the game. And it's still a thing that you're going to be doing the same sort of thing, like trying, failing, trialing, failing. And so that kind of goes against what he said there. But what you've seen a couple of times here is this game has a new mechanic called the carry mechanic. It's like that little platform. It's sort of like Item 1 from Mega Man 2, but not quite. Like, it stays in place, it doesn't hover up and down. And it's just like a useful little tool to like boost your jump a little bit more. You know, you go halfway, you throw down the carry, and then you go up a little bit more. Like, just a more long-winded double jump, if that's the way you want to look at it. But this section is really annoying because of how slow it is. Like, you can just take a hit and plough through, but given we have bosses coming up, I thought I'll be a little bit on the careful side. Don't want to like completely fuck myself over and try and have to beat a boss with 1 point of health left. So, you know, slow and steady wins the race. Even though it's not explicitly a race, but you know what I mean. And like, I remember these being quite annoying in Mega Man 2, but I swear they weren't quite as annoying. Like, maybe it's because there was more space to sort of jump over them. Whereas here it's a very narrow sort of corridor, and if I jump over the one at the bottom, I'm gonna hit the one on the ceiling, so it's basically a pick your poison in that respect. And here's another falling section. Look at that fucking spike placement, that is not fair, I'm sorry. But now, if you're familiar with the other games, you know these are usually rematches when you see these teleporters. But no, we actually have fights against some new Robot Masters to this game. Or more specifically, the Mega Man 2 Robot Masters. We're gonna fight 4 of them. As being Flashman, Quickman, Bubbleman, and Heatman. So, you know, we've got 4 of the 8, and they've naturally had to get Quickman in. He's probably one of the most infamous ones, because he's probably the most difficult one. Like, the useful thing here is we do actually get the powers from the Mega Man 2 Robot Masters. As you see here, we get more of this fucking terrifying weapon get screen. So I will still be able to just plow on Quickman with the Flash Stopper and then use the quick boomerangs on Bubble Man and all that good stuff. Quick Man is still incredibly quick, as you would hope, given his name. This is the thing I've noticed when I do these videos, like quite often I say something that is incredibly fucking obvious and I try to play it off, like I didn't just point out the fucking obvious. I'm trying to make commentary, I'm not completely dumb, although I'm still quite dumb, so take that how you will. But yeah, I do like the way that they brought in some of the Mega Man 2 Robot Masters rather than just making you repeat the first 4. Like, it's okay having a boss rush when you've had 8 fights throughout the main game and you know they're all different, but that's a problem I have with the main Mega Man games. Like, it's not a bad trait per se, it's just I wish they had more original stuff. It just kind of feels like filler. That's probably the best way to put it. It feels like filler in the NES Mega Man games, and like, well, all the Mega Man games really that have boss rushes. It feels like filler just to have to repeat fights you've already done. But yeah, this is Bubble Man. Bubble Man is still as pathetic. Or maybe not quite as pathetic, like, because of the smaller screen, he has a higher chance of actually hitting you. Whereas in Mega Man 2, you've got that big open screen and you can plow on him with metal blades from a distance and he stands no chance. Here, he'll probably hit you a couple of times. Though if you use the quick boomerangs, if you went in that order, then you'll be fine anyway. I do kind of think it's a little bit unfair how there's no indication of which of these teleporters go to which. So you can't like strategically think, right, I'm going to fight this guy first and I'm going to get his weapon so I can use it to beat this other guy. Like, you have to know which of the rooms goes to which. And that's the sort of thing that if you weren't like redoing parts just to get it down as smoothly for a playthrough like I do, then you wouldn't necessarily remember either. So it's kind of a bit of a gamble, right, which one you go in. Like, granted, they do stay the same each time. It's not like some RNG shit where you kind of gotta, like, I just hope that I get to go in Flash Man before Quick Man. No, because that'd be like really bullshit. But no, but it's still the sort of thing you're not likely to remember. But anyway, this is our main bad guy for this game, and as easy as this fighting is, I think it's an interesting concept. This is Enka. And like with a lot of the robots in Mega Man, he's named after a music genre. And Enka is the first robot from Dr. Wily's Mega Man Killer series, which the other two, Punk and Ballad, would appear in later Mega Man Game Boy games. It's an interesting little motif that they brought back. To prove how easy he is, I killed him in the process of explaining about him, so, like, you know, it is a really easy boss fight. But from the knowledge base, Enka's only real interest is to destroy Mega Man, and nothing else beyond that, leaving him with a very cold and gloomy personality. Being a robot built with a Japanese theme, however, he's a profound individual with a strong Japanese spirit, and a liking for New Year's Eve. That seems quite oddly specific, so I guess Happy New Year, Enka? His cold nature makes him somewhat antisocial, and causes him to hang back in the shadows away from others. Well, he doesn't need to do that anymore because I killed him. His weapon that we got is a deflection kind of attack. You hold it up and an enemy's weapon will bounce back. It's quite useful against a later boss, I will admit. It might seem like a very specific thing, but I like it as a weapon, it's useful. And them things, I did get caught on them for a little while because I didn't realise that you need to jump on top of them to destroy the platforms. It's not the sort of thing you'd instinctively think of doing. I think there were some earlier in the game that I just didn't think of doing it then, so it's like I just had to stop and pause for a second and analyse the situation and just try everything really. The good thing is when I'm recording these playthroughs I tend to use a process where I use save states, just so that I can kind of get it smoothly. Like all the little segments where I'm wandering thinking, okay, how do I do this? What do I do? Like you lot don't have to see me wasting time doing that, so I can just faff around for a little bit, then reload the state and go back and do it for real. And it makes the recording process take longer, but it's better just because it means the final video can be shorter. It doesn't have to have time wasting. But visually speaking, I actually like the outside section that you saw through that window just then. Like, you saw a bit of Saturn in the background and that. And that might be some kind of foreshadowing. Like, I haven't played the other Game Boy Mega Man games, but I know one of them, I think it's 5, is set in a space setting, and you go to different planets to fight the Robot Masters in that game, which seems like a really cool concept. It sort of breaks away from the standard all these enemies are wreaking havoc on Earth sort of thing that all the other games have. Yeah, that's one other thing that I didn't bring up when I was talking about Enka. He does actually make an appearance in Mega Man Soccer, and I've seen that game. I know very little about it, other than that there is a rap song that was used to promote it, where it's Dr. Wily rapping in Japanese, and it's fucking hilarious. Like, I don't understand any of what's being said. Like, I think there might be a couple of Englishy verses, I can't remember. I just remember the song sounds really fucking goofy. And yeah, these things are an obligation in Mega Man games at this point, you know. Nobody really likes them, they're more frustrating than anything, and if you're playing it on actual hardware, then you sort of get screwed over because you can't save state when you fall down from the unpredictable block placement. There's naturally smaller blocks on the Game Boy just because, you know, less screen space to work with, so they can't have the full square blocks. Gotta have smaller rectangular ones, but whatevs. And yeah, it is doing the typical Dr. Wily Sage thing that all the games do, where they borrow little elements from the other Robot Master stages. It's not quite as grandiose here as it is in the other games. Like, in the games where they're a bit longer, you know, you fought 8 Robot Masters rather than just 4, and like you've had to go through 8 full levels, then it feels that little bit grander. It's not quite as effective when it's a much shorter game. Like, this entire playthrough's like 35 minutes including credits. So, you know, like 35 minutes of game time, that's not quite as, you know, like, granted Mega Man 1 is about the same, but thing onwards from like 2 to 6 and that, where they take about an hour to play through if you're playing well. Granted, the later ones take a little bit longer because they have that sort of fake out story like thing, you know, where, oh, it's not Wily this time, it's Dr. Cossack, no, it's Proto Man, no, it's Mr. X, like, as though you don't sort of tire of that after a while. But like, they tend to drag out 4, 5 and 6 that little bit more, and naturally 3 has the Doc Robot. But when you've had that longer quest, then it feels a bit more dramatic to have the final stages being like a combination of all the different aspects of the stages you've been through so far. Then that feels cool. It feels not quite as, you know, amazing when you've just done it. Like, you know, 5 minutes ago we were doing the same thing, so revisiting it doesn't have that same effect. And yeah, this is sort of a multiple route, like, we can still see everything that's going on, but, you know, that's another section with dickhead spike placement. Like, these spike placements in the final stages, I wish it weren't like that, because that kind of invalidates the bit of praise I was giving this as a handheld like adaptation, because there you are affected by the screen problems. And like, maybe I'm being unfair because the NES games do have dickhead sections like that. I remember one section from 5 in particular, from one of the Wily stages, where the spikes are just below the screen. If you go to the left of a platform you've landed on, you'll be fine. If you go to the right, you land directly on a pad of spikes. Like, there's not even time to just like drag yourself over to the left to fix it or anything. You are just there, you're fucked. Yeah, now we're getting to the Wily bosses themselves, and I like this boss. Like, it can be quite difficult to dodge those spinny enemies, which is why for the most part I'm just sort of staying over where they only occasionally hit me. Like, if I'm standing here, I'm gonna get hit by all the lower ones, but gonna miss all the higher ones. So it all works out about equal. Whereas now, gonna make good use of Enka's deflection beam. And this boss is really easy, like the only thing that will hit you is that crocodile claw thing. And that actually reminds me of Scissor's hands from Pokemon Gen 2. He really looks like the sort of hands that Scissor has that he'll just grab you with. The boss is easy but fun. And granted, given how difficult some of the earlier sections can be, I do appreciate having a nice easy boss. It's sort of similar to why I kind of appreciate Mega Man 3's Wily stages being as easy as they are. It's like, you've had these long drawn out sections from Doc Robot, so now it's just like, you can sort of plough through and you got this triumphant finale, which we kind of got here really. We just knocked Wily down, and that's us. Dr. Wily didn't get his revenge, so sorry Wily. But before we go into credits, you'll see here, they list off every robot that you've seen in the game, all the enemies, all the different things you've encountered, all the robot masters and that. They don't list a single human who worked on the game, which I think is amazing. And this may have had something to do with like the company they outsourced it to, maybe they have certain policies or whatever, but you know, it still seems sort of a bit of a dick move not to credit your people who worked on it, even if most of the ones in the NES games use like aliases and that. But on the whole, I think Mega Man Dr. Wily's Revenge is a fun game, but one that you won't like on your first playthrough because of how hard it is. And that's quite a short way to sum up the game, but that's really the best way to put it. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've been the Flameclaw, and this has been Mega Man Dr. Wily's Revenge. See you next time.